Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a oil change and replacing the coolant in our 1994 Isuzu Amigo. Now, the oil, I don't even know the last time it's been changed. But when I checked it the other day, it looked like it hadn't been changed in about 20,000 years. So we're definitely gonna have to do that. And then the coolant looks like mud. So we're definitely going to need to flush that out. Luckily, I didn't heat up the engine too much. And anyway, so if y'all remember in the first video, there was like a vacuum leak with the engine, and what that was doing was causing the car to have a rough idle. It was very difficult to accelerate because at the low RPMs when you were first giving it gas, obviously it was getting too much air, not enough fuel. So it would run, horribly until you got up to the higher RPMs, and then you would get more fuel and more air. So also the brake, when you press the brake, the engine would want to shut down. That's because the brake obviously is vacuum operated, and if there's a leak, it fucks up a lot of shit. So the vacuum leak was right here. So there's this hose here with no clamp on it, and I think this is the intake manifold there. The air comes in through here into the engine, so the intake manifold there. And this little hose, again, it's this one right here, goes up, down, and it was just open. It's supposed to connect into this unit of vacuum tubing. So yeah, that hose, I should say, was just completely off and causing that vacuum. And now it runs a lot better. It actually idles at the right RPM. It doesn't want to die down when you first give it gas, and the engine won't shut down anymore when you're trying to brake. So anyway, so we're gonna change the oil. Here's the oil fill cap. Here's the oil dipstick right down here. And like I said, I checked the oil the other day. We're gonna recheck it again, but it was just black. And then when I opened this up, the inner side of the cap was kind of gooey. So I'm a little worried about the condition of the oil when it does come out, but we'll see, when we get there. Hopefully everything goes well. And this is a sort of a step-by-step. Again, it's just an oil change on an inline 4, so it's not gonna be that crazy. The only things that could go wrong really are stripped bolts or, well, I don't want to say anymore. I don't want to jinx anything, but yeah, we'll get started on that. All right, folks, let's check the condition of the oil. Ugh. Okay, looks like there is no oil. Let me double check. All the way in, a couple seconds. Start it out. Properly filled. It's just, God, it's horrible. Horrible condition. It's just black. Yeah, so it definitely needs a change, and we're gonna go ahead and do that. All we'll need, really, it's a 4.6 quart, 4.6 quart, amount. So it takes 4.6 quarts. Here it is, we're underneath the car, and you can see there is, what appears to be wetness right here. I scraped off a lot of this gunk. It was like caked on dirt and sediment. So yeah, I see it now more. It is leaking outside of this pan here. So I don't even know how you remove that, to be totally honest. I don't even know if you can remove it, but yeah, well, we'll take a look at it. It looks like this whole thing drops down. It's a little hard to see here, but there's a drain plug, so let's go ahead and drain it. I have here a goddamn 22 millimeter. Bolt is quite big, so let me try to. Okay, I might need 2 hands for this. Alright guys, so it's a little tough to get out. I'm kind of scared of stripping it. So I'm gonna clean it up, clean up the little, you know, edges, the surface, and then hit it with some WD-40, let it, you know, soak in there a little bit, and then just in the meanwhile we'll look for the radiator drain plug. Okay folks, so I had to resort to my old pal Leverage to get this off. You have no idea how afraid I was of stripping this thing, and you can see a little bit of worn edges there already. I mean, this is frightening, really. But anyway, there's a the coolant or the radiator draining hose is right here. So literally right, trying to give you some perspective here. Let me zoom out. Right next to the wheel here. My fingers are bugging. Right next to the wheel. You follow this lower control arm. Follow this, like, you know, pipe thing, and then pretty much right where it hits this curve, this bend in the tube, just look right up right here. So this is plastic, unfortunately. Just be very careful when taking that off. But really onto the main event here, which is this oil. I think it's hand loose now. Yep. Okay. We'll just let it. It might be a little hot, so there you go. Ooh, wow. Yeah, that's fucking black. It is pure black, actually. It looks like, you know, 20,000 mile old. It smells horrible too. Yeah, smells pretty bad, but we'll let that fill up and then grab a little something. I mean, look at this, guys, it's black. So we'll let that drain in there and we'll get back to you. Definitely due for a change, so. So it's clearing up here. Look, they do the bolt, okay? The bolt does not need to be that tight, all right, guys? I mean, it's totally fine just getting it snug. Obviously, you should follow the torque specs that are on the data sheet for the car, the owner's manual or the Haynes manual or whatever. I always just tighten it snug. I mean, it's not a huge deal because this is the bottom of the oil pan, and yeah, there's oil pressure, but it's not enough to like warrant you torquing it down 50,000 pounds. You know what I mean? So should be fine just torquing it a little bit at a time. So I'm gonna put the bolt back in. The bolt, you know, it's dropped in the oil somewhere. So we'll clean up this area, and then we'll move this catch can over and get this filter off. All right, folks, so in case you were wondering, here's the oil cap. That goes in the valve cover, so that's what that looks like. But here's the drain plug. In case you needed a reference for it, I'm not sure if this is the original. I honestly don't know. It seemed maybe a little bit too, weak to be the original, but maybe that's just me. But there it is. Not that long. This might not be the original actually, but it works. So we're just gonna reinstall it. I don't have the original OEM piece. If this isn't it, then we're just gonna stick with this. All right, so let's go grab that oil filter. Just bring a rag. Oh, and this, of course. So first and foremost, obviously, we're gonna go ahead and put this drain bolt back in. We're just gonna hand tighten it in here for now. Okay, we're going to spritz it some W. Just like that. I like to serve a little cleaner agent. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a wipe down. Make it nice and clean. Guys, always clean your parts when you're reinstalling. I mean, it takes you no time, and it really does make a lot of difference. So, okay, now, oh gosh, the oil filter right in front of the oil pan here. Hopefully this doesn't, require a lot of extra force here. It should be hand tightened. Oh man, it's hard to get a good angle here with your with your left hand or your non-dominant. Ooh, okay, let me try to get that off. Let me get that loose, and then we'll come back. All right guys, so here's the new filter. I got the old filter off. It was completely just destroyed. So usually, the oil that you use on the new filter to lubricate this O-ring doesn't really matter, but people use the old one, take a little bit, lubricate it, but it's fine. We're not going to use that old oil. We're going to use this new oil. That's why we got the new oil. So we'll grab this, just a regular filter, lubricate this O-ring. Some people like to fill up the filter before they install it. I don't really mind. You can go on the upper end of the range for when you're filling it, so that way when the oil does fill this up, it'll read a little bit lower. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna lubricate it and then just slap it on. Obviously clean the area really nice, and then put some of this nice clean oil in there, and that'll be the oil change. All right folks, I just wanted to show y'all the oil. Look at it. I mean, that's crazy. That's how dark it is. The swirlies, I don't know if you can it's catching it on camera, but yeah, it's pure black. There was some, metal, whatever in there, but overall, no big deal. So I'm finishing up here. That's the old coolant. I used, where is it? New coolant over there. So basically, it's just a traditional coolant flush. I opened the little petcock at the bottom, let all that old fluid drain out. Then you can rinse it with water if you want. Let the engine run a little bit. Obviously fill the petcock, or turn the petcock back on, and then fill it up with water, let it run, clean itself out. Obviously you can add some flush solution that you can buy like AutoZone or whatever your local auto parts store, to really get that minerals in there, because sometimes people will use water that's really mineralized, and all that will calcify onto the inside of the radiator and all your tubes and stuff. And so that solution will actually help break all that apart and then flush it out. But I decided not to do that. I think it was fine. Just rinsed it out with water, ran it, and then rinsed it all out again, and then added my mix, which is the orange one over there, 50-50, so 50 water, 50 of that coolant over there, and then that's it. So just remember to fill up your tank reservoir, and then we're good. So that's the oil change and the coolant change. So I'll catch you on the next video.